Nickelback is one of the most hated bands in rock and roll. We all know that. And most of us also know the reasons they are hated: the repetitive and generic music, the jokes and memes. But what if I told you those are just secondary reasons for all the hate? To uncover the original cause of the hate, we'd have to go back a couple decades, before anyone had even heard of Nickelback. In 1999, Nickelback was just a new band ready to make its mark on the rock and roll landscape. They were signed to a record label named Roadrunner, which also signed bands like Slipknot and Sepultura. This record label had a reputation amongst metalheads for putting out really heavy music meant for hardcore black t-shirt metal fans. When Nickelback released their album The State, many metalheads recognized the Roadrunner label and assumed it was a heavy metal album. Can't blame them for thinking that, though, as apart from the record label, the album also had a badass title and cover art which painted the mental image of rebellion against an authoritarian government, and even the band's name contained the name of a metal. But when they actually played the album, they were understandably disappointed. This was post-grunge pop rock, which was not at all like the rest of Roadrunner's catalog. The music was not necessarily bad on its own, but from the perspective of a metalhead who was expecting something heavy, this was just terrible music. And so this group of metalheads became the first ones to utter the phrase, "Nickelback sucks." It is possible that comedian Brian Posehn, a known metalhead, might have been one of these Roadrunner fans, which would possibly explain why he made this joke in 2003.
No one talks about the studies that show that bad music makes people violent. Like Nickelback makes me want to kill Nickelback.
Keep in mind that when he said this, Nickelback hadn't blown up yet, but this joke was included in the show's trailer, which was played several times a day for over 6 months. So even people who had never heard a single Nickelback song got the idea that Nickelback sucked. And of course they jumped on the hate wagon. When the band eventually achieved mainstream success and airplay, people would have thought to themselves, "Nickelback, isn't that the band that sucks?" They didn't even have to listen to the music. They had already decided that this band was terrible based off a joke they heard on TV. That one joke led to many other jokes, and by the time the internet became widespread, Nickelback was solidified as a laughingstock in popular culture. But despite that, Nickelback managed to achieve commercial and critical success and consistently sell out stadiums. They have built a loyal fan base that's actually growing, especially with young audiences who are not familiar with the memes and therefore are able to give the band a fair shake without any pre-existing biases. Whether their music is good or bad is a matter of subjective taste. But one thing about Nickelback that's objectively true is the fact that they certainly do not deserve the hate that they have received over the years. Not all of it, at least.